Beloved Madridistas, welcome back to Madrid. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, let me give you guys my thoughts on the match last night. Another, I think, pretty good performance. That is 5 out of 5 in La Liga, 6 victories in a row, counting all competitions. I'm still picking up a lot of really positive things, okay? I mean, this team is not 100% in terms of its tactical formation or even physically, but I like what I see, and I think we're making a lot of progress. Look, the way that Xabi Alonso is using this squad, the depth of the squad, I think remains one of the big stories of the season. The Xabi rotations just make news every single time. We'll talk about the lineup. Dean Huijsen, unfortunately, couldn't play. This is how things work in Spain. So the refs, the CTA, the Comité Técnico de Árbitros, they admit that they made a mistake, that Huijsen should not have received a red card, but they will maintain the penalty, and he wasn't allowed to play the following La Liga match. Tell me if this makes any sense. So you tell a convicted felon, well, the DNA test just came back, and it turns out that you're innocent, but we're going to hang you anyway. Like, this is basically what we're talking about here. Absolutely insane. But anyway, we're going to talk about the match. I think, overall, I think a pretty good match. I think a comfortable match. These were the types of matches that last year we would lose or really, really suffer during these types of matches. This year, we're actually winning them, and we look like we're in control. It is a very different situation, so I'm really, really encouraged. Look, Xabi is not only using the totality of the squad, I think that he's also getting the best out of these players, and there are a lot of really good specific cases to talk about in that regard. Okay, lots to say. Thanks for joining me as always. Let me give you my thoughts on the match yesterday. Let's get started. Madridistas, welcome back. Okay, let me give you my thoughts on the match yesterday. And I mean, this is so much fun. With Xabi, it's just so much fun because it's so hard to guess the starting lineup. I mean, last year with Ancelotti, if you tried to guess the starting lineup, you would have been right 9 out of 10 times. It was just really easy, very predictable, always the same players. This year is the exact opposite. It is very, very difficult to predict Xabi lineups. And, I don't think anybody would have predicted yesterday's, but it was fascinating. This is what Xabi Alonso came out with, and this is the way that the lineup was presented on Real Madrid TV, which I thought was kind of interesting. But when I saw the players, I thought, okay, how the hell are they going to play? Okay, what kind of formation are these guys going to play? And the only thing that I thought would make sense would be if they played something like this, right? Where you have basically Mastantuono and Fede playing in a sort of double pivot in the middle in front of the defense with 3 center backs, and then have very, very high fullbacks, Carreras and Carvajal quite high up, and that would allow Gonzalo to play on the right, Kylian in the middle, Vini on the left. I thought, well, this is the only sense that I can make out of it. Well, the match started, and I was wrong. We basically played this way, the way that the kind of Real Madrid TV formation suggested, which was a little bit odd. There was a lot of movement. This wasn't a sort of static thing. There was a lot of movement. So Kylian very often drifted to the left. There was a lot of kind of movement among players. But for the most part, we played with Gonzalo and Kylian almost as 2 number 9s, which was just very, very bizarre. But anyway, never a dull moment with Xabi. So tactically, I thought this was kind of confusing at first. But I think in terms of the match, look, it felt like we were in control. This match, I think we never really felt threatened. I never had the feeling that this match could get away from us. We didn't have that sort of decline from first half to second half that we've seen in previous matches where we kind of fall off a cliff in the second half. That didn't happen. I think the second half we were very, very lively. I think in some respects maybe better than the first half. But like I say, these were the matches that last year were problematic. These were matches where last year just, one little thing, one little decision by the ref or something, and we would lose points. That is not the case this year. We're playing with a lot more intensity. We have a fantastic deep squad, and Xabi Alonso is using all of it, and it's great to see. In terms of the first half, look, the first few minutes seemed like the match was going to kind of be wide open, back and forth, but as the minutes went by, Espanyol slowly settled into this sort of low block. And I've mentioned this before, but I think it does does sort of, I think, merit a little more discussion. Real Madrid historically just always hates this. I mean, Real Madrid plays, I've mentioned this before in previous videos, but historically, and you know, over the sort of years and decades, Real Madrid, you notice this, Real Madrid is a team that loves open matches. Real Madrid is a team that needs space, need to run. We love playing the wings. We love counterattacking. We love speed. These type of matches where you're playing against a really organized world defense, it's just, we hate it. We can do it, and we win these matches, but we just don't enjoy them. You know, Barça historically, you know, has a different playing style. If you notice, Barça over the decades, they like to have sort of really long possessions. They like to sort of attack as a unit. They love to face a low block. They love the sort of windshield wiper sideways passing. They have a lot of patience for this, and they've been very successful breaking down these types of defenses. Real Madrid just is less comfortable doing it. It just has to do with our style of play. We're just much more vertical and much more direct. So it's just something that we don't enjoy, but I have to mention it because so many home games end up looking like this. But in any case, so Espanyol, as the minutes went by, kind of started to gravitate towards this low block. The only way to beat a low block, there's three things you can do. One, you can get through with very quick passing. So your passing has to be the ball circulation very, very quick, and you need a very kind of surprising 1-2, a give and go. That's one thing you can do, is just pass the ball very quickly. Secondly, you can do a one-on-one, a 1v2, and try to dribble your way through it. Or third, you can take a shot from distance. And that's exactly what opened up the can last night. In the 22nd minute, we had this spectacular missile by Militao. And, you know, Militao's a player that has shot from distance before, but I don't think we've seen anything quite like this out of him. This was absolutely spectacular. I don't know how many meters out, 35, 40 meters out, an incredible shot. He had very little time to prep it or wind it up. It's not like he really ran to the ball and struck it in full stride. He seemed to strike this ball in a short space, but the power he got behind it was shocking, and the accuracy was incredible. This is just an absolute missile, definitely goal of the month. But what an incredible strike by Militao. And that sort of opened things up. Now, after the 1-0, you would think that Espanyol would sort of attack. And we were talking about it, sort of saying, look, we need the first goal to go in so that Espanyol attacks and opens things up. And that really plays into our hands. Well, that didn't really happen because Espanyol refused to sort of really push forward. I mean, after the goal, the game looked very, very similar to me. It just, you know, Espanyol continued to play in a sort of low block, looking for the counter, but not very often and not very successfully. So I was a bit surprised by kind of Espanyol's sort of docile reaction to the goal. But anyway, I think in general in the first half we were creating a ton of chances. In the 29th minute, there was a great play by Mastantuono on the right. Vini had a great chance in the 34th. Gonzalo in the 36th minute. We sort of had consecutive chances. We had a very, very good chance in the added minutes of the first half. Great play by Vini in a cross into the box that Kylian mishit, but a really, really good opportunity there. But I think on the whole, it was a pretty decent first half. We recovered the ball very quickly, very, very high up on the pitch. Courtois had very little work to do, and you just very rarely saw us have to settle into a sort of defensive block because we would steal the ball so quickly. In the second half, look, we didn't fall off. In the last few matches, we've had a tendency to sort of fall off a cliff in the second half. I didn't really see that as much yesterday. I think the game kind of broke. It broke apart, you know, fatigue starts to kick in, and then the sort of midfield disappears, and then it just looks more like kind of attacks on either side. The goal came very quickly in the 47th minute, and this was a shot by Kylian. Again, one of the ways to break down these types of defenses is shooting from distance, and this was, I mean, I didn't really see it coming. I didn't think Kylian was going to shoot from there. And I think he caught everybody by surprise. He put that ball in the first post, caught the goalkeeper wrong-footed. The goalkeeper was starting to drift to the middle under the sticks, and he just caught the goalkeeper sort of moving towards the middle and put the ball right next to the first post. This was an incredibly precise shot, and again, had a real element of surprise to it. I don't think any of us expected it. Now, after the 2-0, we continued to create chances. Espanyol, like I say, tried to push up, did create some opportunities on the counter, but it never felt like they were going to, turn things around. We had another opportunity in the 51st minute, a great pass from Mastantuono to Kylian. The first changes came in the 59th. Gonzalo came off. Gonzalo had a pretty quiet day, wasn't really able to produce much, but he came off for Arda Güler. I thought Arda, when you're in possession, Arda just always brings so much kind of common sense to your possession. I thought that was a good decision. Gonzalo wasn't making a difference, and I think at this point of the match, you really wanted to control the ball a little bit more. I think that's a change that made a lot of sense. In the 65th minute, we had an incredible opportunity where Kylian had two chances to score. We came so close, and then Vini, with very little angle, hit the post. But again, three chances in the space of 10 seconds. But of course, but the ball didn't go in. We had another good chance in the 70th minute with Vini. And again, in the last 20 minutes, the match just felt a lot more open, a lot more broken. And then in the 76th minute, we had more changes. Vini and Mastantuono came off, gave way to Rodrigo and Brahim. I think both Vini and Mastantuono, looked pretty pissed off at the changes. I don't think either of these guys were very happy about it. That is to be expected. I don't blame them for it. But you do have to be careful how you react. We were talking about this yesterday. I think to be overly pissed off when you're subbed, I think is a really negative message to your teammates, because you're sort of expressing a lack of trust in them. I think that it's okay as a professional to be upset that you're being subbed, but I think you have to be careful and respectful. First of all, you're a player and you do what you're told, and you have to obey your manager without any, that is your job. And secondly, I think it's disrespectful for whoever's subbing you, because, the suggestion is that you can do it so much better than they can. And I don't know. I just think players should contain their emotions in situations like this, just out of sort of courtesy and decency. But anyway, in the final minutes, we had a chance to see Jude and Camavinga, who came on for Kylian and Tchouaméni. Jude had a couple of really nice little touches, sort of reminding us of his sort of quality. I'm really excited to have both of them back. I have a weakness for both of these players. I'm a big fan of Jude's, and I've always loved Camavinga. So I think having these players back is just going to be absolutely fantastic. I think, look, in terms of sort of broad takeaways, this was a decent performance. I think a good performance. We felt a lot more confident than we did last year. We won. We could have scored more goals, and it could have been better. But I think overall, considering where we are, we're still at the beginning of the season. I think happy with the performance overall. In terms of sort of broad takeaways, look, the takeaways I think are pretty crystal clear. Number one, we are using, I love what Xavi is doing with the players. We're using the totality of the roster, every single player. We're using the depth. We have a very deep squad, and we're using all of it now with Xavi. And not just that, we're making players better. There are a lot of players that I think Xavi is making a difference and making them better players, and it's something tangible and visible. I mean, look at Tchouaméni. Look what Xabi Alonso has done with Tchouaméni. He's playing the best football since he's arrived, possibly in his career. Look at Kylian. This is the best Kylian we've seen possibly. He could, right now, he's probably in the best moment of his career in terms of his play. Look at Gonzalo. Look at Carreras. Look at Arda Güler. The improvement in some of these players is incredible. That's one of the takeaways, is that we are getting more out of these players than we were last year, for sure. Number two, and this is a cautious takeaway, we are a team that continues to struggle with these low blocks, as I mentioned, and that's something I think Xavi is going to have to work on a lot more. We have to be more effective breaking down these defenses. I know it's difficult, and you can see how crowded it is when you've got, all 10 players, sort of in their own box. It's very difficult to break through, but we are still having a lot of difficulties breaking through those low blocks, and I think that's somewhat alarming. I think we have to get better at breaking those defenses down when we're in possession. But that's just something that I think is quite noticeable. Okay, number three, I think that defensively, this is a much improved team. Defensively, we are much, much better. We defend collectively. We recover the ball much higher and much more quickly than we did last year, even the year before that. I think we're recovering. If you look at the players, the second they lose the ball, they sort of switch into this, hyper mode, and you can see them just go crazy, scrambling, trying to get the ball back. You can tell that is one of the most important instructions that Xavi gives them, is the second you lose the ball, get it back. But it makes a huge difference. I think defensively we're much better, stealing the ball in the right places, and that's why Courtois is, has so much free time these days. Okay, number 4, and I mentioned it in the last video, we're creating a lot of chances as a team. Last year it felt like we depended so much on kind of an individual moment of brilliance. I think that the goals we're scoring this year are much more team goals. Like I say, even when our strikers are not having a very good day, we're still creating tons of chances. I think because our collective play is much better, our passing's quicker, we're more vertical. I think we're just much more effective going forward. And then, a fifth thing I would say is, on the back of what I just mentioned, there's a lot of positive momentum at the individual player level. Look at Militao, coming back from 2 brutal injuries, and look at him. He looks fantastic. There's so much positive momentum with Militao. Carreras looks unbelievable. Asensio looks really good. Again, he looks like, last night he looked like the Asensio of last year. He made a couple of mistakes in the Club World Cup, but last night he looked like the player that gave us so much last year. And that is critically important because it allows us to keep Tchouaméni in the pivot position and doesn't force us to use Tchouaméni as a center back. So it's a massive plus that Asensio is in good shape. Look at Mastantuono, look at Kylian, look at Arda Güler. So many of our players are kind of in a really positive state in terms of momentum individually, which I think is great. Look, we are very, very close, I think, to having one of these blowout matches where we sort of 4-0, 5-0. We're very close to getting one of these because we're generating a lot of chances. I think we're due for one. There were a couple of matches that looked like they could have been blowouts, but were impeded for a variety of reasons. But I think that sort of massive 4-0, 5-0 game is right around the corner because I think in general we're playing very, very, very good football, and I think it's getting better as time goes by. Okay, in terms of individual players, we can do this quickly. Look, Courtois, I think, was fine. Again, didn't have a lot of work. I find myself saying that a lot this year. But Courtois, in the few situations he had to react, I think, was solid and reliable. So Courtois, I think, had a decent match. Carvajal was good. I think he was better. He made a couple of mistakes in the previous match, obviously the red card and all that. But this time there were no mistakes. I think Carvajal played a really serious, focused game. It just seemed very focused on sort of defending and doing the job. And I think had a very solid match. Militao, I have to say, wow. And not just the goal, which is incredible even for a striker. I mean, that was exceptional, but he's just playing really, really well. I think his speed is back. He's really quick in recoveries. He's just really quick. Right place, right time. He's good in the air, good in challenges. He doesn't look hesitant at all. Sometimes when players come back from injury, they feel a bit tentative. Not Militao. Militao last night played like he had never been injured before. And it's really, really positive. I thought Militao had a fantastic match. Okay, Asensio was really, really solid, and this is, like I say, is strategically very positive because it allows us to keep Tchouaméni where he needs to be as a pivot. Asensio is a very competent player off the bench. He showed us all of last year, and I think last night he had another one of those, really good performances, showing you that you can rely on him if need be. I thought Asensio was pretty solid and very quick in recovery, by the way. If you notice, in the Espanyol counterattacks, Asensio's speed in recovery is unbelievable. He's really, really quick. I thought Asensio played really well. Okay, Carreras is starting to be one of the stories of the year because none of us knew him particularly well. We had seen him play sort of once in a while, but I don't think any of us knew too much about this player. But wow, what a left back this player is. Just every match I'm more and more impressed with his speed, his commitment going forward, but his ability to recover quickly. He's never caught out. I don't know if you've noticed, this guy's never caught out of plays. He's always where he needs to be. I think Carreras is becoming one of the great discoveries of the season, so I was really encouraged. Okay, Tchouaméni had another fantastic match. I think 1 out of 10, I'd give him maybe an 8. I thought he was absolutely excellent. Another phenomenal performance by Tchouaméni. Fede Valverde, kind of more of the same. He plays really, solid, but his duties are almost entirely defensive. We don't see him sort of attack as much as we used to, and I sort of miss it, I have to admit. But he is sort of fulfilling his role. It's not a very glamorous role. It's mostly defensive, but I think he's doing it, quietly but very well. But it's true that Fede has lost a bit of steam in terms of his participation, especially in attack. But I don't think it's at the expense of the team overall. I think it's a function of what he is being asked to do this year relative to last year. Okay, sorry, there's a bit of noise upstairs. Hopefully I can finish this video before they start drilling. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Mastantuono, I would give him probably an 8 out of 10 if I had to. He's a very interesting player. He's very different. He has a kind of an odd way of running, an odd way of carrying the ball. It's a little bit. I might have to pause here. Sorry about that. I had to cut the recording because they were doing some construction work upstairs. So sorry about that, but we're almost done. Okay, Mastantuono, he's a very different looking player. The way he carries the ball, the way he runs, he has a very particular way of playing. But he's very aggressive. He loves taking people on, loves taking defenders on. He's very good at initiating stuff. Like, he initiates a lot of really, really good plays. He's very creative, dribbles really well. The only thing that's missing is just finishing those plays. Like, we've come so close to really amazing goals on plays that he has created, but we're just not quite able to finish. But one of these days, one of these crazy Mastantuono plays is going to end up in the back of the net, and it's going to be incredible. I think he had played wasn't able to finish the plays, but created a lot of really interesting situations and participated a lot. And another thing I have to mention about Mastantuono is the effort he makes defensively is crazy. This guy, when he loses the ball, he goes bananas. I mean, he will run 100 meters after that trying to get it back. He takes his defensive duties really, really seriously, and I think defensively brings so much because this guy he leaves nothing at home. I mean, this guy leaves absolutely everything on the pitch. So I think Mastantuono continues to be a really, really interesting player. I think played pretty well last night. Okay, Vini, I'm going to say maybe a 6.5 or 7, something like that. The first half wasn't great, although towards the end of the first half, he started kind of getting into gear, created a couple of really good plays, and then he had a better second half where he was, a lot more active, a lot more visible. I think Vini had sort of an okay match. He's still not quite there, still not quite, he's taking people on, but it just isn't working as often as it should or it used to. So I think Vini is kind of still not quite where he needs to be. I think improved a little bit as the game went on, but I'd say he played well, but not great. That's I'd love to hear your comments, but that's kind of what I think. Gonzalo, unfortunately, wasn't really able to contribute much. I think this was kind of a tactically confusing setup, and I think Gonzalo and Kylian both felt it. Gonzalo, he didn't really have a chance to participate. He's a very good team player in general, but I think yesterday just wasn't able to find space. The ball didn't get to him very often, and when it did, he was in situations where he had to sort of give it right back. He wasn't really in a good position to either finish plays or do much additional with them. So I think he was a little bit disappeared, not really his night. So I thought Gonzalo was sort of so-so. Kylian, I thought, was really, really good. Not as good as previous matches. But he, even though he didn't do as much and didn't participate as much, he always looks just so dangerous. He has that, when he's in possession and he's marked, he has this quick little spin move where he gets away from his immediate defender. It's just incredible. The speed that Kylian is displaying in these last few matches is extraordinary. This is the quickest I've seen him. He's so fast in short spaces, and then his sprint, of course, is incredible. Kylian just looks lethal every time he touches the ball. I thought he played a really, really good game, scored an absolutely incredible goal. Maybe not as spectacular as previous matches, but I think he had a really, really good game and continues to look absolutely lethal. In terms of subs, not that much to say. I think Arda, contributed quite a bit in possession. Rodrigo and Brahim didn't really have a chance to contribute much, I'm afraid. And then the refs, it's good to say they didn't completely destroy this match, which is, very, very good to be able to say. But of course, the skew is always there. I mean, this time there was nothing glaring that was game-changing. But once again, the match finished, and just listen to this. Espanyol had 20 fouls and 0 yellow cards. We committed 10 fouls and got 2 yellow cards. So basically, they had twice as many fouls, no cards. We have we foul half as many times, but get 2 yellow cards. This is always the case. If you want to review it, go for it, because the stats don't lie. This is almost always the case. We commit fewer fouls, but end up with more cards than the opposition. It's almost something you can count on. But anyway, that's kind of what I think of the match. I think we're moving in the right direction. I like what I see. This is so different than last year. This is so much more unpredictable, so much more high intensity, so much more exciting. Our play is just so much more exciting, so much more energetic, creating more chances. Our players are flourishing a lot more. We're able to see so much more of the individual skill we have because of the way we're playing this kind of quick passing vertical football and high intensity press. I like what I see. It's not perfect yet, but we're moving in the right direction, and I'm delighted with what Xavi is doing. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I always appreciate hearing contrasting points of view. So definitely let me know what you think. But thanks for joining me. As always, I love all you guys. And as always and forever, a la Madrid.